Again, this is William Jenkins with these videos on success in school. Now, in my previous video, part three, I spent more time talking about some things than I should have, and it seems as if the videos are going to be more. It's going to be more than I assumed at first, but that's no problem. You don't have to watch them all in one setting. You can always come back to them. And I want you to tell people, anyone who sees any of these videos and think that others could be helped by them, any part of them, tell people about them so that kids can come, kids and parents can come and watch these videos called Success in School. I said I had assumed that was going to be 4 parts. Now I don't know whether all the material will be covered in 4 parts, but that doesn't matter. They're here. You can come and watch any part of them anytime you want to. So let's start with part 4. Now, hopefully, you will go back and look at part 1, 2, and 3, and hopefully, you will eventually get a copy of this book, Success in School, because all of these things and more are in there. How to be successful in school is what we're talking about. Getting to graduation and having the proper education to show for it once you get there. Going to school and not getting a good education is kind of like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and leaving hungry. And you got to be in school anyway. You got to be there anyway. So since you have to be there, why not get the best benefit that's available for being there? It's kind of like a hungry person has to be forced to go to the cafeteria and sit there, and all the food is there. He's hungry, and he leaves hungry. That's crazy. Well, it's just as crazy for you to go to school and be around all those educated people, all those teachers with expertise in all those different areas, and you go there every day and hide out in the bathroom and run from teachers, hide, walk the hall, do everything you can to keep from going to class and get the benefit that the school is set up to provide for you. So, look at all the previous videos and then this one. Set good goals and pursue them. Education actually is about achieving goals. Rules are actually about achieving goals. Sometimes kids get angry when there are rules and say, well, I don't want to be following all of these rules. Well, rules are not what you have been calling them. They are not adult impositions upon little kids that they don't like. Rules are actually guidelines for goals. When I was a high school student and college student, I was a very, very good athlete. Well, many of the things that I did had to do with athletics, staying in shape. I practiced the whole year. I was always taking exercise. I had to do those things that made me a better baseball player. I could have played professional baseball. So the rules that I lived by, I did not see them as impositions by the coach. They were the guidelines that I was provided in order to reach the goal that I had declared that I wanted to reach. So stop seeing stop seeing rules as adult impositions upon helpless young people. Rules are guidelines to goals. If I gave you a brand new car of your choice and said, this is the driver's manual, follow it, and the car will last year after year after year. But if you don't, it'll probably last no longer than 6 months. You'd follow that manual because you would see it as guidelines to keep in the car for many years. Well, there are the rules that you have to go by as a young person, or rules in school, or guidelines of how to be successful to reach your goals. You ought to have goals that are your goals. You ought to have graduation as a goal when you come into ninth grade. You ought to have a good education as a goal when you come into ninth grade. You ought to have college as a goal when you come into ninth grade. You ought to have a good job and a good life as goals when you come into the ninth grade. You ought to have them even before that. But you ought to have those as goals. And if those goals are in your mind, then you ought to want to do the things that will lead to those goals. So the important thing is to have good goals. And then when you have good goals, it will help you to do the next thing that you need to do to be successful in school, and that is to bond with good people. Good goals you ought to have, and you ought to bond with good people. In fact, they go together. I've been this way throughout my life. I do not become too close to people who are not headed in my direction. I have no interest in emotionally bonding with people who are not about what I'm about. I have no interest in spending a lot of time with people who are not going where I'm going. Bond with good people. You know, sometimes it's more important, it's just as important that the people that you bond with to have good lives and good goals as it is for you to have them, because sometimes you go because they're going, do because they're doing, and hang out because you want to be with them. Well, if you develop good relationships with good people, when you do that, it won't be so dangerous. But if you are around a bunch of losers and you are a winner, then hanging out with them, spending too much time with them, going to places they go and doing the things that they do, and bonding with other people that they bond with would be very detrimental to you. So, if you want to graduate from high school, have good goals, bond with good people. The next thing is to stay positive. Stay positive. Now, it's difficult sometimes to stay positive when there are negative things happening. And let me say a word about those kids who are dealing with difficulties, those kids who have less money than some of the rest of them, who can't dress the way other kids dress. Don't let that put a damper on your dreams. I was surprised to find out how many of my students, when I was the teacher, I was surprised to find out after they were out of school and we'd bonded and formed friendships and conversational relationships long thereafter. I was surprised to find out how many of them were going through difficulties that very few people knew about. I was also surprised to find out how many of my well-dressed students purchased their clothes at resale shops, Goodwill, and other places. You may not have what other folks have, but stay positive. Education is about dreams. It's about accomplishments. It's about doing things that nobody thought that you could do. It's about empowerment. So you stay positive. And if you stay positive, that will help you to do the next thing that you need to do to graduate from high school, and that's stay on task. Stay positive and stay on task. Don't let the bad times, the bad periods in your life, the bad things that happen to you get you off task. Stay on task. Keep going. Keep moving. Don't give up. Don't drop out. Stay positive and stay on task. The next thing that you need to do if you want to graduate from high school is would help you. You don't need to do this, but it really helps, and that is participate in something. Participate in sports and clubs. Participate. You see, the more you become, see, school is a community. And the more you become invested in the community, the more successful you'll be there. It's a community. The more you become invested in the community, the more you feel like you belong, the more support you will get, the more help will come your way, and the more successful you are likely to be. One of the reasons that athletes generally are more successful in school, stay in school, graduate in greater numbers than other kids, and one of the reasons that athletes should be our best citizens, and oftentimes are, except that a few bad ones get the attention and make the people think that athletes are a bad bunch. But in fact, athletes are some of our best citizens. And the reason they're some of our best citizens, because of all of our citizens, athletes have more supervision from what we call certificated personnel than any kids in our society. The average kid, a regular kid, goes to school late August or September. Athletes show up 2 weeks earlier, preparing for the football season. Kids leave school at 3 o'clock. Athletes leave at 6 or 7 after practicing football or basketball. They're almost always under supervision. So they feel like they belong. As a matter of fact, some of them feel as if they own the school. Now, at the school where I taught, in addition to athletics that we encourage we encourage kids to get into, in addition to that, we had clubs, over 30 clubs, science club, social science clubs, key club, all kinds of clubs that we encourage kids to get involved in. And when you get involved in those clubs, then you see people interested in your whole life. You become more than just a kid in the English class. You become more than just a kid in the social science class. You become more than just a kid in the biology class. You become a human being with all kinds of interest, and that the person sees you as a whole person, and you're a part of a community. And all of this helps you to belong. I need to belong to someone. A man used to sing a song a long time ago, Isaac Hayes. So join clubs. Be a member of a sports team. Now, you might not be a star. You might not even make the starting team. But being a part of that is helpful to the kid who wants to succeed. And then believe that you deserve an education as much as anyone else. Believe that you deserve an education as much as anyone else. One of the reasons that we have public schools in this country, and one of the reasons that I'm an advocate of public education, is because our democracy depends upon people being educated. And you, as a citizen of this country, have much right to have an education as anyone else, and the country needs you to be educated as much as it needs anyone else to be educated. So make sure that you always know that you deserve an education. Now, the next video will be the conclusion. This is the end of part 4. I'm William Jenkins.